Good morning.
Okay, now,
Good
now,
morning. How
good
are you?
morning. Oh my goodness.
How are you doing?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm well. I'm well.
Great. I was getting a little nervous. I didn't see the link and then I found it. Oops,
Okay, no worries, no worries. So I'm Donovan. I'm a graduate fellow for the center, and I'll be hosting today.
that's
And I'll
wonderful.
also be leading the book club on your book starting next week.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Oh, what an honor. I'm so grateful.
I'm so excited. This is really
Yes. Oh my gosh. If you want me to come and speak, I will.
okay. I will. I'll reach out. I will. I will. Oh, they
I
will.
would
I'm sure they will
love to
love that.
hear people's responses
Okay.
to it. Yeah. Oh, that
Great.
would be great. And to
Yeah.
have a talk about a little bit of like what I'm going to talk about today. Where do I go next? Because
Hmm.
I've been thinking about our ancestors who were the Maroons, and I'm wondering if, you know, they're being hidden in the swamps and whatnot kept them safe.
Oh, I've been thinking a lot about protection because I research Black history in the elementary classroom and
Oh,
thinking about children's books as
yeah.
protectors of Black history as well.
Yes.
So I've been thinking about that same
Yes.
idea of protection.
But then for me, Black children are thriving
Hmm.
through homeschool. And if you notice, I've written 3 books, a bunch of articles. I've never talked about the children's success to any
Mm.
great length. That's on purpose
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love
because,
that.
and I'll talk about it towards the end. But yeah, I'm like, maybe people don't need to know about how good we're doing.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes they don't need to know. I like.
Good
Morning, Abigail.
morning.
Good morning, Donovan. Good morning, Dr. Field Smith. My name's Abigail. I'm a
Hi,
second year
Abigail.
doctoral student.
Oh, wonderful. And what are you studying?
So my focus is 6 through 12, teaching Black history. I taught Black history in Philadelphia for 13 years to ninth grade, because in Philly,
Oh,
um, African American history for the public school is a requirement to graduate.
okay.
So
Oh
every
my
Philly
goodness.
public school kid has to take it. And so I've just been blessed to have taught it for so long. And so I'm looking at using primary sources,
Okay.
helping teachers use primary sources to teach Black history. But I too am a mom, and so I have an 8-year-old who's in third grade, and I was sharing
Okay.
with Donovan, I'm trying to create like I have lesser experience with teaching Black history to the younger ages. So I'm trying to do
Okay.
like 1 or 2 lessons a month just for my son.
Yes. Okay. Oh, that's so good. So important. Oh
So I'm
my.
really looking forward to your session today.
Yeah. My mom, she turned me into a Black history nerd.
Oh, did she?
She
Yeah.
made sure I
Power
knew,
to the mummies. Yep.
yes, she made sure I knew not only Black history, but our family history,
Mm.
which put a
Mm.
huge burden because, like, her mom was running a Black newspaper during the civil rights era down in the
Oh,
South.
wow.
And it's like, okay, this is what grandma did.
Mm-hmm.
And she was under all kinds of pressure, blah, blah, blah. And my mom didn't necessarily say this, but you could feel it.
Mm.
You're not under that kind of pressure, right? Because
Mm.
schools had been desegregated and all that. But it was like, what you gonna do?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I really felt it because, my son was at a school last year that he didn't like, and
Oh,
they were
wow.
not incorporating Black history. The teacher asked me if it was okay for her to use the word racism, and she'd been teaching for 12 years.
Oh my goodness.
And then they didn't do anything for Juneteenth, but they did a Flag Day parade, and that's when I was just like, okay, I need to be doing more on this at home because I can't count on schools to give him the history he needs and
Yeah.
deserves.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my goodness. Oh gosh, that's really something.
Yeah.
That,
Dr. Phil Smith, do you want to see if are you sharing your screen?
you want me to try it? Let me see what
Yeah, let's
happens.
try it out before we get started. Make
And,
sure everything's working.
and Donovan, do you need anything from me?
No, I can't. Can I send you? I can send you some directly. These are the links I'm gonna be.
I was about to create a little
I have
doc.
what am I calling it?
Can you
A
see it?
pile.
Oh yeah, that
Yeah,
looks, we can see it.
Okay, now what happens if I do this? Whoops.
Beautiful.
Can
Yeah.
you see the presenter's view or can you still see,
we still see yours.
you still
I
see
mean,
mine?
we don't see the presenter view.
Yay.
Your screen, and then there's the what do you call it at the top of your? Keep
That's
working.
good. Okay.
Yeah, it looks good.
I want to make sure you can't see all my notes. Not that it would be a problem, but I'd rather you see the screen,
Yeah.
But
Dr. Fieldsmith, is there a place, because you have books that you would like, and maybe Donna, you've asked this already, like I can
Mm-mm.
drop the links for people purchasing your books, but we
oh
always
my
like to
goodness.
ask if there's a certain place you would like them to purchase it from.
Um, so I have a 20% discount. Let me see if I can get my hands on that for the latest book from creating educational justice. Now, Cheryl, you know you should have had that ready to go. Um, I know who sent it to me. Let's see if I can find it. Okay.
And if you can, it's no big deal because we can always send a message to everyone who registered.
Okay. Travel funds release. Is it here? Nope. I will find it. Because if they use it, if they buy it directly from Harvard with that code, they should be able to get a 20% discount. Those are video clips. I don't want that. Oh, I think I found it. Yes. Okay, let me download the Twitter card and move to desktop so I can find it. Okay, I will close this out, go back to the Zoom. I can send it via chat. Here we go.
Perfect.
Desktop. Okay, let's see if this works. Is that the 20% discount one? It doesn't look like it. That might be different. Twitter. It said Twitter.
Saved it. Let me see.
It should say today, right? Because I just moved it today. Okay, wait. Downloads. Maybe it's in there.
Oh,
Oh, I
right.
always.
I'm gonna start letting people in, but when you find it, you can just
Okay.
drop it. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning from Detroit.
Okay, Detroit. I was just in Detroit.
Good morning.
I'm in
And good
Chicago.
morning,
Good morning.
Columbus.
I'm in Detroit. Yeah, I'm in Chi visiting today.
Morning, everyone, and hi, Charlene.
Hey, good morning, Abigail. How are you?
Happy to be here this morning.
Morning, everyone.
Morning.
Checking in from Philadelphia.
I'm gonna give a minute or two for everybody to load in.
Do you remember when I was changing my mind? I'm chasing clouds. Singing as we dance in the night. Remember how the stars go by.
All right. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. It's so wonderful to be here with y'all for our first Black History Nerd Saturday School of the semester. I am your host, Donovan James, and I will be guiding us through our session today with Dr. Cheryl Fields Smith, speaking on sovereign learning, Black home education from historical necessity to contemporary choice. I know we've already introduced ourselves in the chat, so continue to introduce yourself, who you are, where you're from, and possibly what brought you here today. So we are the Center for K-12 Black History and Racial Literacy Education in the Graduate School of Education at the University at Buffalo. We are a space for PK-12 educators to learn effective ways to teach Black history and race through research, professional development, networking, advocacy, and consulting. We are going to kick off our time together with a quick word from the Abigail Henry, who's going to talk to us a little bit about the Teaching Black History micro-credential.
Good morning, everyone. It's Abigail here. I'm so happy to be here this morning for this first Black History Nerd session. It's just a really great, wonderful way to start my day. I'm a second-year doctoral student and Schomburg Fellow here at the center. It is really wonderful to see some old faces who complete from the first cohort who completed the micro. Charlene is in the house. Tracy is in the house. We also have some new faces here. Joshua, I think I saw you. And Jade, I think I saw you too. I'm excited to meet you this afternoon. The Teaching Black History micro-credential is a 9-month program. It starts today. It consists of 2 classes, Teaching Black History 1 and Teaching Black History 2. It also consists of everyone who participates. They have to come to these Black History Nerd sessions, come to the book club, and even present at our Teaching Black History conference, which we will talk about in a minute. The applications for this year's cohort are currently closed, but there will be more information coming out early next year about applying for the next cohort. One of the things I'm also working on too this month is to post some of the amazing work that the first cohort did last year. They created these beautiful capstone posters. that were presented at the Teaching Black History Conference. So I'm working to publish them on our center's website so that you can also learn from the beautiful units they created, everything from elementary, middle school, and high school Black History units we want to make available for you. So if you have any questions about the Teaching Black History micro-credential, how much it costs, when it occurs, feel free to email me. I will also put my email in the chat. And for those of you who are joining this afternoon, I'm looking forward to spending our first class together.
Thanks, Abigail. We also want to let you know that in November, we'll be having our first Researching Race series, professional development, with Dr. Ashley Smith Purviance, talking about theorizing Black girlhood from theory to practice. So you can register to attend that on November 18th from 5:30 to 7 here on Zoom. Next week, we will begin our first educator book club of the semester. And we are not, that's the bio for Daphne's book club on the Three Mothers. We're actually going to be reading Dr. Cheryl Fields Smith's Creating Educational Justice, Learning from Black Home Educators. And I will be facilitating with that with y'all for 4 weeks. If you're interested, it'll be here on Zoom starting next Saturday at 10 a.m. And we'll drop the links in the chat to register for those events. Registration isn't open yet, but we did want to announce this year's theme for the Teaching Black History Conference, the Black Founding Mothers and Fathers, as the year 2026 marks 2 historic milestones that frame our theme of Black Founding Mothers and Fathers. So just really be on the lookout for when proposals come out and the dates of the conference. We would love to see you here in Buffalo and hear your genius on this year's theme. Our next nerd session is on October 11. We have Khaled coming, the founder and curator of the Black History 101 Mobile Museum, speaking on his museum and the Million Man March. So be sure to register for that as well. All right, without further ado, today's featured nerd is Dr. Cheryl Fields Smith, professor and department head in the Department of Educational Theory and Practice. Prior to earning her doctorate from Emory University, Dr. Fields Smith served as an elementary school teacher in Bridgeport, Stanford, and Norwalk, Connecticut. During her tenure as a teacher, she taught in 2 magnet schools, both of which employed the Bank Street model, which emphasizes child-centered, hands-on, experiential learning through thematic social studies-based integration instruction. And today she is here to speak on sovereign learning, Black home education, from historical necessity to contemporary choice. So welcome, Dr. Cheryl Fields Smith. And y'all sit back, get your notebooks out, and get ready to take some notes.
Oh, thank you so much. I am so honored to be with you today. Honored that you are reading my book. Just so grateful. And I'm overwhelmed. I'm grateful to be called a Black history nerd. When I first popped on, I was telling Miss James that my mom turned me into a Black history nerd. She made sure that I knew my history. So in 5th grade, I could tell you all about Ralph Bunche and the United Nations. Um, she just made sure I knew little things like major things like that, I should say. And she also made sure I knew my family Black history, which really inspired me. So again, grateful to be with you. Let me see, this worked before. Let's see how it's gone. Why is it gone? I can't see the share screen button. Oh, there it is. Okay. Okay. It should be this one. Okay. Can you see the screen?
We see, I think you were looking for your discount code. We can't see your presentation like we could before.
Oh, gosh. gosh, okay. Let's see. Yikes. Okay, let me go back to Zoom and let's try this. How's that?
Perfect.
Okay, great. All right, so sovereign learning, Black home education from historical necessity to contemporary choice with a red question mark. I changed it. I've been thinking about this ever since I've been asked and really before. Um, I want to have a discussion with you today. Is Black home education a choice for Black families, or is it still a necessity? Um, I think it depends on where you are and who you are, right? But that's definitely in my mind these days. I call Black home education sovereign learning because of all the school choices, when a Black family chooses to homeschool their children, they have the greatest amount of control and authority over their children's education. They are the sovereign, if you will, for their children's education. Now, that varies a little bit state to state, but even in the most rigorous states that have the most rigid regulations, they have to submit portfolios in some states, and some states reserve the right to revoke a parent's right to homeschool. But even under those conditions, it's still a parent's choice what a child learns and how they learn it. And so they are the sovereign of their children's education. So why the question mark? Well, one, I do see that the work is constantly evolving. These are two earlier books that I wrote. The first one was actually, I should have swapped these, but the one with the bluish cover, I just wrote about four single Black moms that I met who made the decision to homeschool their children full time. Single Black moms. And they decided not to engage full time in the workforce. And I describe a little bit about how they can do that because I didn't want to give it all away. But the most important thing is single Black moms who have degrees. Now, all of these women had master's degrees, making the choice to homeschool and forego an income. To me, that was deep. I was a single mom as well, and I couldn't see how to do it. I think I could do it today if I had to. I'm pretty sure I could because it's a lot easier. But back when they were doing it, they didn't have the infrastructure that we're beginning to develop now. And I marveled at that. And then the homeschooling Black children in the US, now we have the voices of actually Black home educators contributed chapters to this book to talk about their practice, why and how they do Black home education, which was powerful as well. But these frameworks are changing, the frameworks of what I'm using and how I'm thinking about this. And also, I'm getting interesting criticism. Um, and it's not just me directly, it's people that are coming behind me who I'm mentoring. One of my, I don't know what to call them, but my legacy, I'll call them my legacy, a woman who writes about Black home education recently shared with me a commentary. Now, she's a white woman writing about Black home education, and a Black scholar wrote a commentary questioning her focus on racism as the main cause for their decision to homeschool. He questions racism in the school system as a reason that families would homeschool. So she and I are writing a response to his response, if you will. So things like that are starting to happen. And then today's political context, when you're trying to educate a Black child today, and I was so excited to hear that, that you all have such a strong hold on Black history because here in Georgia, they're trying to dismiss it and eliminate it if they could. And thankfully, people are fighting against it and they haven't been able to just yet. But, and I hope they never will. But the context that we're in is problematic as well. Um, I contributed to a book that the Cato Institute has out now. The book's title is Fighting for the Freedom to Learn. I might be the only Black author in this book. My chapter is called Not Common to All, the Education of Black Americans. And I chose to write a chapter on things that people know less about. It's not included in the typical P12 education. For example, educational freedom seeking during slavery. You can see our self-determination and self-agency as a people when you look at like the topic of this book, Light in the Darkness, a story about how slaves learned in secret. This children's book is beautifully illustrated and it points to the pit schools. It teaches the children about, we were so desperate to learn to read that after working in those fields all day, we would go deep into the woods, dig pits where we would go down into, where we would teach each other how to read. So, this clandestine, secret learning, risking our lives to learn to read. And the self agency is collective. If you've read, I got a stack of books here. I wanted to put their pictures up and I couldn't, I got frustrated. It was so hard to do it. But I don't know if you've ever read Heather Williams, Self Taught, but whoops, here we go. She gives us a lot of the documenting of what was going on and why this self-taught is actually a collective action. If one learned to read, everybody learned to read. We didn't keep it to ourselves. It was not individualistic. And that's so important to teach our children, I think, of the each one reach one, each one teach one. We also, I wrote about the Freedoms Bureau. We don't hear very much about this grassroots organization, but one of the quotes that when I was researching this, self-reliance and deep-seated desire to control and sustain schools for themselves and their children is what motivated the Freedoms Bureau. Deep-seated desire to control and sustain the schools. We didn't just want schools. We wanted to be in charge of our own schools. We know about church schools. And we know that sharecropping happened during the Reconstruction era. And I hope that you've read this. And I wish we had a children's version of this for kids. But to learn that from James Anderson's documentation that it's really the South started public schools because it was Black people that were pushing for public education. To learn that when the missionaries came from the North to help during the Reconstruction era, how overwhelmed and surprised they were with the way our ancestors had already created their own schooling processes during slavery, out of slavery. But during the sharecropping era, I don't know about you, but my P12 learning never really dwelled very much on sharecropping beyond the fact that the system was set up so that the sharecroppers could never get ahead. And a doctoral student of mine showed me this picture. Can you see it? Oh my goodness. Here it is. I don't know if I can make it. There we go. Okay. So this is a mom, 1939, a sharecropping mom in Louisiana. It's an actual photo. It is not, it may look like a piece of art to you. It is a piece of art, but it's a photograph. A photographer caught this. What do you see? I wrote about this in my Cato Institute chapter, and I had them print the photo. But can you, I can't see the chat if somebody could call it out, but what do you notice?
I'll
Well, I
speak. Oh, I'm sorry. Go
No, go
ahead.
ahead.
Oh, okay. This is just, it just speaks to me on so many levels. Here's a mom using what she had. She didn't have a chalkboard, she didn't have the fancy pointer, but she's got those kids in the looks like kitchen table chairs, and she's doing the work with what she
Mhm.
has.
Homeschooling. Nobody ever taught me about that, yet this photo existed. You can find it in the Library of Congress, Transylvania, Louisiana, January 1939. I wrote all about this. I see so much happening here, so much. Look at the attention of the children. Look at how they're dressed, in their finest, probably. And even closing in on what they're learning in script, no less. And I kept thinking about what I know about this era as a student of Dr. Vanessa Siddlewalker. I got my PhD under her direction and marveled at what she taught me in my African American educational history course for the first time, hearing the voice of a former slave who was blinded to learn to read and saying that he would risk his eyesight and his life again and again and again. It was worth it to learn to read. And so I can see and appreciate a photo like this when they tell us that, parents don't care about their education. What? That's not our legacy. That's your myth. And that's one of the reasons I set out to do this work, and I continue to do this work, is to undo that myth. Yes, we do care. We care so much, we're going to sacrifice income in order to be able to do this homeschooling. It's just that important. And so I write about that, and the dignity that I see here, the reverence to learning that I see here, all of those things. Let's see, how can I get back? Oh, it worked. Yay. Okay. Can you now see the regular PowerPoint?
Yes, you're good.
Okay. Okay. So we know that, speaking of Dr. Siddlewalker, this is something wonderful to read. The myth of the segregated Black school being inferior. No, these were schools of excellence. She spent her lifetime. I think this is one of her first publications about what she discovered, but she has many more talking about the leadership. And then when I was her student, from two when was it, from 1999 to 2004. And during that time, this had come out, but then there were copycats, other books about the excellence of their segregated Black schools. And, at first we started calling them copycats, but then that's when she went down. Okay, what were the leaders doing? Because you can't have the same thing happening in North Carolina, also happening in South Carolina, Georgia, and so forth and so forth. That's leadership. So she shifted her direction to looking at the leaderships. And there's books, Hello, Professor, where she undid, again, the Black educational leaders of this
Kim, did you
time.
eat anything?
What's that? Can you hear me? Oh, okay, I'm sorry. So the Black leaders of the time, just like their enslaved ancestors, they were meeting across state lines secretly. They won't give us buses. What are you doing? How do you get this? How do you get that? What are you doing about this? That's what she writes about, how they did that, and it's amazing. Um, One of the things about our history, we were never a monolith. When the schools, it looked like, the way it's been taught, the desegregation of schools is that all Black people wanted to desegregate the schools. That's not true. I couldn't find my copy of it, which means it's probably in my office somewhere. But there's a book called On Along Freedom Road by David Soselsky. He writes about a segregated Black school community. They fought very hard to keep their school segregated. They did not want to desegregate. And I'm sure they weren't the only ones. Also, if you pay attention to the wonderful Dr. Jackie Jordan Irvine and Faustine Jones, they have work that they did on Black students going to Catholic schools, again, to escape that Little Rock Nine, not wanting, not all parents wanted their children to face that. And so we did different things in that time. I don't like when we're all lumped together as if we're all the same. There's so much diversity within Black families. And the other book I want to talk about, this book is 92 years old. The Miseducation of the Negro. Carter G. Woodson, the gentleman that gave us Black History Month, and so much more. You can read more about him in Jarvis Given's Fugitive Pedagogy as well. But I want to dive a little bit into the Miseducation of the Negro. That book in 1933 provided us with a blueprint for education as a resistance. And I just want to give you three reasons. There's more if you go back and read it. I know when I first read it, I was too young to appreciate it. I have since reread it and really garnered so much from it. But one, we have to know how to address systemic issues. And he does this beautifully. Back in 1933, he says to handicap a student by teaching him that his Black face is a curse and that his struggle to change his condition is hopeless is the worst sort of lynching. And he was equating this to if we were to desegregate schools because they don't appreciate who we are. And he said it kills one's aspirations and dooms him, the child, to vagabondage and crime. And back in 1933, he knew that. He knew that the way public schools would be teaching our history, or not teaching it really effectively, would be like lynching. This book is a blueprint for education as a form of resistance also because it helps to correct the historical omissions and cultural empowerment. In the book, page 21, he writes, in history, of course, the Negro had no place in this curriculum, talking about a white school, right? No thought was given to the history of Africa except so far as it had been a field of exploitation for the Caucasian. He also writes, the education of any people should begin with the people themselves. But Negroes, thus trained, have been dreaming about the ancients of Europe and about those who have tried to imitate them. That's page 32. So, reading this book, you understand why some of our great leaders, like Carter G. Woodson, warned us not to desegregate our schools. You also understand why home education is so important. Even if you go to public school, send your child to public school. I would argue you have to be like my mom. You have to teach your child yourself about Black history, which means you've got to know your history too. And you have to help your child negotiate, navigate what they're going to hear in their P-12 education, most P-12 educations, and what they're not going to hear, and help your child to reconcile those truths, right? And finally, in 1933, Carter G. Woodson pushed for self-education. He says real education means to inspire people to live more abundantly, to learn to begin with life as they find it and make it better. So self-education is empowering for students and parents. All of that was known in 1933, which I find so amazing. How how we've been duped. Cynthia Dillard would say, we've been taught we have to remember the things that we were taught to forget, in her In Dark and Feminist Epistemology framework. So today, what we find is that Black home education is increasing tremendously. Just in 2020 alone, during the pandemic, it increased fivefold from 3.3% of the homeschool families being Black to 16%. That was done just from April 2020 to September 2020. And the trend suggests that that homeschooling continues to rise among African American families. Yet they are not a monolith. My research shows you, even the first chapter of my brand new book, I spend a whole chapter with charts and tables and showing you how unique each family can be. Some of them are working moms. Some of them are single moms who don't work. Some of them are two-parent families, single-parent families, adoptive families, foster mothers and fathers, homeschool. Grandparents engage in homeschooling their children. It doesn't matter how much education the parents have themselves. Some of them only have a high school degree, and they are still homeschooling. Some of them have PhDs and all in between. Some of them have some college or no college at all, right? I mean, we are diverse. Some of them are Afrocentric. Some of them are not quite Afrocentric, but they still value making sure that their children know the truth about their African American history. Some of them are religious. Some of them are secular. Some of them will tell you, God told me to homeschool. Some of them will tell you, I made the decision to homeschool and then realized that I could infuse my faith in my children's education. So, very different, very different. When we think about Carter G. Woodson and his contemporaries, W.E. Du Bois, and so forth, who warned us against desegregation, when we think about the desegregation process, and you learned about Kenneth Clark's test of the black dolls, where in court he put a white doll and a black doll in front of a black child and asked which one is good, which one is bad. And the children repeatedly selected the white doll as good and the black doll as bad. Just does something to your heart to think about that happening. We desegregated the schools, supposedly. They are, for the most part, resegregated in some places. But in my research, I think about that Kenneth Clark doll experiment, and I think about the little boy who was in first grade and attended school in a rural community. And he came home, and the first thing he did was head to the bathroom, where he tried to wash the black off of his hands, vigorously scrubbing and scrubbing and scrubbing. And the mom, I can remember her telling me, she didn't know what caused it. Something happened in school that day. He didn't do that yesterday. He went to school, came home, and now he's trying to get rid of his blackness. Something happened. Something tragic happened. And she knew, I have to homeschool my child. A form of protection. And she's not alone. A lot of the home educators talk about those experiences. When I did part of my methodology, I use sister circle methodology. So I'll bring Black moms who are homeschooling together. I mean, I bring them together. They didn't necessarily know each other. But once they meet, they're like kindred spirits. And when this mom shared the story about her child coming home from school trying to wash the black off of him, each mom had a similar story that they could relate. And I mean, it's just amazing to me, just sad. I don't know if I can go. Well, let me do this right now, and I'll get back to this idea of protectionism. So, what I'm wondering today is who really has choice? When you listen to the stories, the experiences of Black parents who decide to homeschool, you learn that in some places, even urban communities, they can't go to the charter school because the school district has drawn an attendance zone. You have to live here to go to this wonderful school. And guess what? Black people tend not to live there. It just so happens, right? No, it's not. It's on purpose. When the district limits our access to the better schools, that's a problem for parents. They don't have choice. In rural communities, I did a little pilot study with Dr. Timberly Baker, and we found that Black parents that live in rural communities find themselves geographically and politically isolated. They tend to have to, if they're going to homeschool in their communities, they tend to have to homeschool with people who don't believe what they believe politically, who don't look like them. And so part of the rural homeschool, Black homeschool experience might mean driving 1, 2, 3 hours away from home to be in a Black homeschool community, but it's worth it. They spend the day with their own to be fortified and to be empowered so that they can go back to their communities. They also have limited school options because sometimes a rural community will have one public school, one elementary school, one middle school, one high school. What kind of choice is that? And no charter schools sometimes. And so again, choice is limited. More recently, more and more states are jumping on this educational spending account, ESA, state funds. They're like a voucher, but they don't call them vouchers anymore. They call them ESA funds. And what I find is Black parents are kind of skeptical. They don't want the state's money because then they think the state is going to want to know what they're doing, have more control over what they're doing. And so you'll find again, we're not a monolith. Some Black moms will say, "Yeah, I'm gonna use that money and fortify my curriculum. Curriculum is expensive. I need it to buy this or to buy that." But then you'll have some Black families that are going to be like, "Mm-mm, I don't want this. I'm the sovereign of my child's learning. And if you give me money, you're going to want some sort of accounting. And I'm not willing to do that. I want to keep this to myself." So we don't even agree on this, which is okay. It's okay that we don't agree. Um, Linking back to the thing, I think I have come to see Black homeschool families, parents who decide to homeschool as warriors. They're brave. They're usually doing something completely different from the way that they themselves learned. Even as a teacher, that's hard to do. If you had a P-12 education that was a certain way and you go to become a teacher, I know I have to talk to my students a lot about this. I try to get them to talk about hands-on learning and things like that, but that's not what they experience. So it's up to me to help them experience it so that they can see the joy in the learning and how effective it is for themselves. And so if you're a Black parent who was not homeschooled and you decide to homeschool in today's context, you are brave. You are a warrior. You are not a victim. You are taking control of your children's education. And so I wanted to just share with you there's other people out there researching Black homeschooling. In 2012, Mazama and Lundy, Mazama is from Temple University in Philadelphia, actually. Um, but she coined the phrase Black home educators as racial protectionists. protecting their children's positive self racial identity. And then Najarian Peters in 2019 wrote an article about Black educators as privacy protectors. Najarian Peters is a legal scholar. She looked at privacy laws and she found that when you look at the privacy laws that have been held up in courts over and over and over again, based on privacy laws, privacy is a person's ability, and now I'm going to quote her, to live a authored and self-curated life without unnecessary intrusion and distraction. Page 26. It also requires people to be free from harm. She analyzed the privacy laws and what was held up and found this is the definition of privacy in America. However, it has not been equally applied to Black people's lives, Black children in particular, because we have not been able to protect our children from the harm of racism in particular, but other harms. And so she writes, Black parent home educators protect their children's right to be and become by adhering to a series of practices that include preserving Black childhood, creating breathing space for Black children to flourish, insulating Black children from distortions, and letting Black children self-author their lives. So much power in that one sentence, in that one idea. And I want to tell you that Black children are flourishing. I have intentionally not written about that flourishing on purpose, because when I was a PhD student attending conferences, I had the great fortune to hear the late scholar Asa Hilliard give a talk. And one of the things that he talked about and said unapologetically is throughout history in our school system, the moment you see Black children thriving, usually that program had its money taken away or the leadership, the teachers, the educators were removed. And I went back and I looked in my own life. That has been true. I have seen that happen. It takes a lot to hang on to a program where Black children are flourishing. When I was little, I went to a Saturday school. Mama sent me to a Saturday school. And I grew up in a little sleepy town called Norwalk, Connecticut. But we had a Saturday school because the teachers knew we were missing our education. And Mama was plugged in. She made sure her child got that learning. So that when it was time to go to school, I went to Hampton University. I only applied to Hampton. Made my parents nervous. But thankfully, I knew that I needed to be with my own after being in a predominantly white school system from kindergarten through 12th grade. I knew that I needed to go there. And so we are thriving. But there's a part of our history we don't talk very much about. During slavery, some of our ancestors escaped by making a life for themselves in swamp communities. We call them maroons. You can find their history throughout the Carolinas, in Georgia, and even in Florida. I think an aspect, the fact that Black children are flourishing needs to be marooned. It needs to be, what's the word, marronage. And so I have a community that I meet with once a month of Black homeschool leaders and scholars, and we're talking about this. How much do we tell? I'm not going to tell it all. I'm going to keep it to myself because I'm thinking about Asa Hilliard. I'm thinking about the protection that we need. we need to protect our children, yes, from some of this ill society, and not protect in a way that they're in a bubble, but we need to empower them so they can stand up to that, right? And then we also need to protect when something works, like Black home education. So when do we stop talking about it? How do we control our narrative and protect those communities? Because infrastructure is being built. It can't be undone. I am fully convinced that even if the laws change, we will go underground. We'll do it anyway. Nobody's going to stop it. But I don't want to draw too much attention to it, if you will. So I'll stop there. I don't know if I went over time or not. Sometimes I get a little carried away. Um, what questions? What can we talk about?
First of all, thank you so much for this presentation. We really appreciate it. So if y'all could give her a hand, that would be lovely. If you
My pleasure.
don't, and I know there's some questions in the chat. If you feel or if you would like to unmute or raise your hand and ask a question directly, you can, or you can ask a question in the chat, or I think we can use the Q&A feature as well. But
Oh,
I
okay.
see Miss Barbara Ann has her hand raised off.
Thank you so much. I
Thank you.
appreciate it. I appreciate you.
Thank
I
you, Barbara.
appreciate somebody,
Barbara, we
Barbara
might be
Ann,
related. Barbara Ann, we might be related.
but it's a married name, but I think you are related to his family, he's been denial of for a long time. But let me make this point. Some of us have been doing things like this quietly for a long time, but we didn't have a name for it. We didn't have other people to associate with, and I appreciate that. Here in Philadelphia, they had a program called Get Set. It was supposed to be an anti-poverty program hiring our people.
Wow.
Other people came in, but we were able to elevate the education of a whole generation of children.
Woo.
However, of course, they got rid of it because we were making too much progress.
Yeah.
They turned it into a babysitting affair. But I'm grateful for that.
Yeah.
Because it let me see that there is something in me. Back then I wasn't educated, that I had to share with children. And we need to stop putting a label on people who don't have degrees, because we have lived experience. That's and right. We can help educate these children. That's I have since degrees and continue to teach. And even my daughter, unfortunately, is not here today because she's doing some of this work somewhere else.
Okay.
But I want to I'm not taking up all the time, but I want to tell you, this is important to learn that we are not in a bubble by ourselves, that this has a foundation and it has a history which needs to continue. I will quiet myself now. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Barbara Ann. Thank you.
Go ahead, Tasha.
Hi, this is Tasha's daughter. I was sitting next to my mom, just like tuning in. Amazing. And thank you so much for this work. I've recently just left academia, was in a PhD program, doing really good research looking at African American English or African American languages. But I personally experienced so much of this. And meanwhile, while I'm in my PhD program, my younger brother is being homeschooled. So it was an amazing, amazing such a reassuring experience. And I'm not going to take too much time, but I'm happy that I left that program. And I'm not happy because I really did love doing the research, but I'm happy that I'm going to be a teacher and can be implementing some of the stuff that I learned. And I would love to connect and talk with you because your work is just phenomenal. Thank you
I
so
welcome.
much.
Yes, please reach out. My email address is really easy. It's cfields@uga.edu.
Will do. God bless you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Shirley, Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Cheryl Brown Alleen, and you've inspired me for a number of reasons because of where I work, but I'm actually in a doctoral program currently now, and actually I didn't think I was going to get in because my dissertation is going to be I'm sorry, my research question is why doesn't New York City or New York State have an African American museum? They have them in Iowa, they have them in Idaho, but there's none in New York City. And I've been working in museums for quite a long time. And if it wasn't for me working in museums, the amount of African American history I know for New York State and New York City, I would not have known because I wasn't taught in school. So I did want to let you know, Daphne, they are working on, girl, we need to talk. One of the things I did want to say is that you really have inspired me. I'm probably going to email you because you gave me a really great idea. So
Oh,
thank you
good.
so much for this. You'll be seeing my email probably in the next week. But
Oh,
thank you
great.
so much. This was really, really great.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I don't know how to use the raise hand feature. I'm sorry, Billy Walker and Joshua, but I know yesterday I celebrated like 50 years of Cause, which was a Montessori school that started in Buffalo, which was historical and groundbreaking.
Oh,
And
wow.
to see many of my old classmates who are now educators, who have gone in higher education, it felt like a place of home, and we are not recognized as the history disruptors in education, and that we were the guinea pigs per se. But my educational experience that transitioned into public school education was very traumatic for me. And for me, I homeschooled my 3 children, and I made sure that I taught them those foundational skills with what I had. I even dropped out of college to even be able to do this.
Goodness.
And going and talking to them as young adults now, they're like, we really wish you would have homeschooled us, but you better prepared us to go into the public school setting to be able to academically compete and navigate those spaces and understand the most important thing was their social and emotional well-being and their mental health, and being able to create that safe space at home was hugely important to me in order for them to be successful special ed teachers and bakers and working in higher education. And as Black men, as my Black men, I call them mine, I make them come to whatever school I'm at so their faces are seen and they are touching Black and brown students.
Yeah.
And one of my colleagues said, that's so rude and disrespectful. And I'm like, no, you don't understand how hugely important it is that these Black and brown scholars see my children, their peers, being able to navigate in this world and in systems that didn't really want them in those systems. And it didn't matter if they went to a private institution, a HBCU, or a private high school, prestigious high school. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't matter. You can thrive anywhere. And I practice on my own children before I even went into a classroom first, because I was scared of
Yeah.
messing up other people's children. So I'm
Right.
like, if mine ain't good, I am not doing this job. And as an E&L teacher, with looking at other Black and brown kids,
Mm-hmm.
I get it. It's
Yeah,
full circle.
it is. I think you're making me think about the question that rolls around in my head sometimes is what does it take for a Black child to succeed in public schools today? Why did I succeed? What is it that makes us successful? That would be a good research question, I think.
Joshua, did you still want to ask your question?
Yeah, I can ask. First off, I just want to say thank you for an amazing presentation. And
Thank
as like as a person who is aspiring to be a parent in the near future, um, I I'm happy to see that from everywhere in America that everybody is joining us from, there is resistance, there is like homeschooling being done. There's education to Black folks happening. But I noticed that you said that like you were feeling uncomfortable about sharing it around, sharing this information because of the threat of our success being extinguished out.
Mhm.
And, you know, I think that as Black people, we are resistant and we're gonna come out of the pavement. There's always gonna be a situation where we're gonna thrive. I'm
Yeah.
wondering, is there going to be a situation where this information is readily available to people that look like us so that when it's my turn, my generation's turn to like have kids and to like raise another generation, that I can like easily be like, yo, you can check this out, or I can share this, like just to have a network of information that I can share from North Carolina to my cousins that live in California, you know?
Yeah, yes. The infrastructure is being built. Um, if you go on Facebook and Google Black homeschooling, you will be amazed by the number of Black homeschool communities there are throughout the US and probably beyond. I haven't done much with the global work, but I do know a woman in South Africa that's doing the work, people in the UK, Black um, what do you call natives of the United Kingdom. They have networks. So yes, we have networks all over, and it just thankfully for with technology you can find people.
Shout
I
out
hope to co-found an organization called, get the title right, Black,
Facebook.
and that one is Facebook based. I'm not part of it right now,
Dr.
but
Phil Smith, can you repeat that? You froze a
it's,
bit.
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
Can
Black
you,
Black Homeschool Families and Scholars, and it's part of it's Facebook based. Dr. Ali, no, Dr. Khadijah Ali Coleman is running it right now, I think. But we used to do teach-ins for Black home educators
Oh,
with
is it me? Did I lose it?
Nope, she
organizations
froze.
like that are starting, and you can find them usually through the technology.
Okay. Yeah, like I said, shout out Facebook for getting us connected, you know. Well, thank you. That's something that I will look into. And again, thank you for your presentation.
Thank you. You know, my concern is a lot of my work stays in the academic world, and I don't want to do that. I would love to write for like Ebony or Essence or something, writing for us now, especially now because I'm not that far from retiring. So I would love to do that kind of work now and get it into the hands of parents who might be nervous about homeschooling. There's you know,
Okay, you back. We lost you for a second. You back now.
oh, me?
Yes,
Oh,
ma'am.
sorry. It looked normal to me. Okay, what's going on with my internet? But is are there any other questions?
we think we have two more. We'll
Okay.
have Billy and then Ellie.
So hi, my name's Billy, and I just want to say thank you for your presentation. It was very insightful. And I'm currently based in London, so it was like nice to hear that you said there was some like UK networks as well
Yeah.
available. But my question is kind of just, so I've just graduated high school and taking a year out because I hope to study in the US because there's like more of an interdisciplinary approach and it's like more flexible than the UK. But my question is, my upbringing kind of nurtured my biracial background, but where my black parent was actually adopted by a white family, I never got to do any like cultural or historical exploration. So I remember for the first time when I watched the TV show Blackish, for example, when there was like mini um lessons at the start of the episode, I'd like note that those downs and stuff like that. But I've always struggled to kind of find resources or kind of develop my own curriculum. So I was just going to ask, have you got any kind of tips for me to develop my own curriculum?
Oh, wow. Yes. Oh my goodness. I think depending on the questions that you want to know, what era you want to study, there are oh, there's so many sources. There's so many children books. Do you have an idea of what you would want to focus on first, for example?
I'm not sure necessarily what I'd want to focus on first, but definitely breadth first, so then I can maybe like dig in and understand it in depth. But that's definitely why the US like college system does appeal to me because you can go in with like breadth first, then like slowly dig into like what you want to like learn.
Yes. And let your questions lead you in the to find the curriculum. So what are you wondering? So for example, Black homeschool families, some of them, when they teach about World War One, they won't just teach what was happening in America. They want their children to understand it globally, right? So that's something like if there's a particular era, the Great Depression here in America, what was happening in the UK at that time? In our schools, we tend to be like focused on our own nation, but it would be interesting to, if to understand that when that Black Friday happened, right? The crash of the stock market, what was happening in the UK? I can't even answer that question. I don't know. But if you think of it that way, and then it makes me wonder, what is the Black history in the UK? Who are the prominent Black educators and leaders there that you could look at and see? And the other thing is in your own family. Um, I marvel at my grandmother, Mamie Brown was her name, who ran this Black newspaper that um, I have to get to Fisk University because they have an actual copy of it there. And so I've got to get there one day to see it. But um, how motivating it is to, I just imagine what it was like for her living during that time where there were black and white water fountains and black and white, this, that, and the other. But she's running a Black newspaper promoting and empowering Black people in the Deep South, in Mississippi, of all places. My goodness, what in the world? And I had a chance to meet her. She was very feisty, but that was before I knew that about her. So I couldn't ask all of those things. So, it's I was too little, I guess, to know to ask. Um, but yeah, starting in your own family too, and just whatever you're curious about, there's always a Black history component to it. I have a colleague here at UGA. She travels the world, but wherever she goes, she looks for the Black indigenous people because she is convinced we are everywhere. She just got back from Greece. I can't wait to ask her who she found there. So,
Yeah, thank you. I'll definitely do some personal inquiry and even look at my mum's side because even though this context isn't necessarily my mum, but there were a lot of black children, and the white families actually got paid to take them in. So a lot of them like did it for the money. That didn't happen with my mum's case, but like in a large context, it did. So I
oh,
kind of somewhat have a personal connection to that. So thank you for, and I'll
yeah,
definitely do some personal inquiry.
yes.
I would just
Congratulations
like to
on
add that
finishing. Oh,
there's a group in the UK called Black History Walks. Are you familiar with them? They have lots
No,
of
but
good information. Just Google that. And they have regular podcast events
my
that I
goodness.
think you'll find very useful. And definitely, by the way, Black people are everywhere. We also, my husband and I document wherever we go. every continent, and we're everywhere.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mhm.
And our last question, Ellie.
Hi, can you hear me?
Hi. Yes.
Thank you so much for your presentation. I learned so much about just from you and just appreciate all of your wisdom. I am a student teacher right now, and obviously white, and I am curious about your advice about how, like, as a white student teacher, I can help. Most of my students are Black, and I'm in a predominantly Black school, and really want to cultivate the agency and self-determination of my students. And so I'm curious, kind of the advice that you have,
Yeah.
like given my positionality to do that. And obviously teaching Black history is so important. And I really appreciate all of the people you named and resources for that. But I'm curious, kind of your advice on that. Thanks.
I have to, my mom was a librarian. She was the first Black librarian in Greenwich, Connecticut, which is a lily white town. Lots of wealthy people, and they picked her for, they hired her, and then she went on to other places. But um, I have to think about her and start with the books. Let the books, read them for yourself. Make sure the children, there's so many beautifully illustrated children's books about moments in history that let children see and feel what it was like during the civil rights era. You could, if there are books about the children's roles, what children did during the civil rights era. There's books about the children marching and what that was like. Um, Going on the one that I showed today, Light in the Darkness, about, so, inevitably we have to teach about slavery at some point. And, but understanding Black people's resistance during that time and just being able to say, this was not right. You'd be surprised how hard it is for some people to say, America made a mistake. We did something wrong, tragically wrong. Just to say that it's wrong to treat people this way. It's really, it's just incredible people that can't do that, that can't say that. Lots of tools. I bet some people on here have, I'm drawing a blank, but there are a lot of wonderful tools that could be used to talk about history in the right way, about telling the truth. There's books that have been written about that. Um, when I was a doc student, I was introduced to a different kind of mirror, Ronald Takaki. He wrote a book that we read in our doctoral program, but he also wrote a children's book based on his adult book. And that would, always thought that would be a great textbook for history because it teaches Black history, but it also does Mexican history, Irish history, it like Japanese history. And notice it's not just Black and white, right? Everybody's history. And how one of the things that struck me when I read the adult part of it was how much in common many groups, the Irish, the Japanese, the Mexican, faced some sort of oppression when they came to America. And that's what a different kind of mirror teaches. And it's wrong to do that. If we're not careful, if we don't teach the children the truth, the mistakes of America, we will repeat it. We will repeat it. We must teach the truth. There's lots of tools out there for that. Yes, yes.
Dr.
Good
Boutte?
question.
Dr. Boutte, did you?
Sorry,
Okay.
yeah, I was trying to find the unmute. I just put my Gmail. my email address in the chat box for resources of books about Black children across the different historic eras,
Yes.
from ancient Africa to contemporary times. So ancient Africa, enslavement, Reconstruction, Jim Crow, Black nationalist civil rights to contemporary time. It's from my book, Educating African American Students. And so I'm happy to share that as well.
Wonderful.
Thank you. Well, again, thank you, Dr. Phil Smith, for coming today. And I will be contacting you so you can come to our book club and
Yay.
hang out with us and talk with us. And everyone else, thank y'all so much for coming and joining us today. We do hope to see you on October 11th. If you want to join the book club, you can do that. And for those of you going to micro credential later, have fun. Y'all have a good week, and we will see you next time.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
GOP family. Do we need to get a book for the book club?
Yes.
Put it in the chat.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness.
I just put the link in, Ms. Barbara Ann.
Did you find the one with the discount too?
Yes, Abigail
Okay.
did put the
Okay.
discount code in
Okay.
there.
Thank you. I registered, but I didn't see how to get the book.
Right, I'll drop the link too for the discount again one more
Thank you,
time.
Abigail.
So how can I join you for Saturday school? Can I join you too? This would be so exciting to
Yeah, I'll send you I'll email you the link.
Okay.
So you can
Yeah.
sign up and come.
Reminds me of my Saturday school days. So
Yes,
important.
yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much. I'll see you guys at the book club.
Okay.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you. This has really done a lot for me, just having it be so well received. I mean, I'm grateful, so grateful. So thank you.
Thank you. All right, y'all have a good one.
All right, take care.